leads. You know, you saw the Giants give up a 21-point lead to the Jaguars yesterday. Whether it's Pittsburgh, as you said, losing to a 2-win Tampa Bay team, losing to the Saints on the road.
Cincy barely beat the Tampa Bay team. You know,
the great teams are consistent, and that's what differs between, the majority of the league. It's an 8-8 league, with one play here or there that can shift you from whether it's 8-8 to 10-6 or 8-8 to 6-10. And everybody's convoluted except the really bad teams and the really good teams. And so you're basically talking about 5 teams at the top, 5 teams at the bottom, and everybody else is in the middle.
Yeah, that's the best way to sum it up. Is Cincinnati, they're just barely beat that Tampa team that you were talking about there. And that reminds me of, looking back, just we were joking about ugly wins, and there's one right there. Ugly, but you come away with it. And there's 2-10 Tampa nearly beating them. And the Bengals can go from looking so bad against the Browns a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and by the way, if it wasn't for Marvin Lewis, they would have lost that game. Inside
yesterday, yes.
Tampa Bay had a big pass play that would have won the game. They would have kicked the winning field goal, but they had 12 people on the field. It was inside of 2 minutes. So Marvin Lewis didn't have a challenge, threw it anyway, was willing to take the penalty because he had a timeout, and alerted the officials who had no idea that there were 12 people on the field.
Think about
that. And
that.
then they reviewed it, and Cincinnati won the game. It's rare when you can point to a head coach and say he won the football game. Marvin Lewis won a football game yesterday.
I mean, think about that. That is good coaching. For as much as people want to credit sometimes coaches for what the players do, didn't have a challenge, didn't care. Knew that he needed to do something before anything went any further. Throws the flag anyway. And
now, not only you can't challenge a play within 2 minutes. So here's what Marvin Lewis understood. Now think about this compared to some other coaches we've seen, like Jim Schwartz in recent history. Not only did he understand he couldn't throw the challenge flag, he understood the rules, and that if you throw the challenge flag inside of 2 minutes and you have a timeout, you're penalized a timeout. If you don't have a timeout, you're penalized 15 yards. He understood he had a timeout. He could have wasted a timeout because the game's going to be over anyway. So he understood the rules and threw it, fully understanding that, hey, I got to make these officials aware that they got to take another look at this play. And he was willing to give up his timeout, understanding he wouldn't have to pay with those 15 yards. So it was tremendous on a number of levels. Just incredible awareness, and you don't often see it from coaches.
I'm telling you, whatever it took to get that thing looked at, man. I'd be coaching my players the same thing. If I don't have challenge flags and time, I'm doing tackle somebody. I don't care. I'll take the personal foul. Get them to look. No, but you get them to look at it, and then, hey, be rewarded for doing something wrong. It doesn't matter. It's still incredible.
And by the way, I didn't even bring up the fact that he was aware there were 12 people on the field, and the officials weren't.
Right, they didn't know it until they went back and looked.
His staff was aware there were 12 people on the field.
Yes,
I
know.
And by the way, if people don't know, there are 4 different officials responsible for counting up the players on each play. And none of them counted them up correctly. And Marvin Lewis and the staff knew it. And as I said, they won that football game yesterday.
Yeah, credit to him. And Lovie Smith buried his team on the way out. He said, that's what 2-10 teams do, man. They find a way to lose. You make dumb, stupid penalties, and in the end, it bites you, and it bit us. And like he said, bad teams find ways. We've said that enough here that you know the expression by heart. Bad teams find ways to win those games. Good teams find ways to, or whatever I meant there. Anyways, real quick too, looking at some of the other ones, Denver continued its mastery over Kansas City there. I saw the stat they pulled up on the screen where they showed Kansas City against everybody else and then against Denver, and you go, man, clearly that's that team. Not that I don't we here in Cleveland have the same problem for a while when your one problem there was Denver getting you over the top. And once again, but Denver comes off with another one, man. How about Anderson there? I mean, just, man, that offense finds ways to keep it going.
Yeah, that's just a bad matchup for Kansas City, because if you just look at how the two teams are built, and generally if you're going to beat Denver, with the exception of that one effort, generally you're going to have to outscore them. And that's just not the way the Chiefs are built. They're a defensive-minded team, and they really only have one playmaker on offense, and Jamal Charles. So they just can't keep up with the offense Denver brings to the table, and you've seen it over the past number of years with Peyton Manning there.
Yeah, and how about Connor Barth? Man, he comes back in the league and, 5 field goals, 5 for 5 last night, and matches the franchise record. He missed an entire season with that torn Achilles, and boom, Denver makes the change from McManus to Barth here this week, and instant dividends paid there. Perhaps they can feel that they may have solidified their kicking game. Yeah,
I'm sure they would have liked to have, that Matt Prater didn't have his off-the-field issues, because he had one heck of a year last year, and obviously they felt they needed to move on. But, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things you don't think about until you don't have a good kicker, and then it becomes such an issue for you. And when you get a consistent one, you best hold on to him for dear life.
Oh, we know about that, man. Definitely here. I'm still wish the Browns hadn't let Phil Dawson run away to San Francisco. But anyways, hey, I want to wrap it up with to me, what was the premier matchup yesterday. You got the Patriots and your boy Aaron Rodgers going at it. A lot of people say potential Super Bowl rematch coming up down the road, but that was a good football game between two good teams there.
Yeah, it really was, and I don't really take too much out of it. I know Tom Brady did. He was very, very upset on the sideline.
Oh yeah, at the end of the game. To me, it was.
To me, it was a logical loss. I still think New England is the more well-rounded team, and obviously, if it does project as a Super Bowl matchup, Super Bowl 49 will be in Arizona. It won't be at Lambeau Field, so. I think things will change. Green Bay's clearly not the same team outside of Lambeau as they are in it. But, yeah, I mean, I said it before, and I don't think anyone at any time, and you name them, Brady, Manning, Montana, go back as far as you want, I don't think anybody has ever played the position at a higher level than Aaron Rodgers is right now. The throws he makes are just absurd. There aren't enough adjectives. We're talking 30. Watch an NFL football game and watch people throw deep balls, and you'll see them completed, but you'll see receivers adjusting, maybe a back shoulder fade. They'll come back. Aaron Rodgers hits people in stride, 30 yards down the field. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if he can keep it up at that consistent of a level, but somebody in the NFC is going to have to hope Green Bay loses, and that's going to have to come on the road, obviously, because they're not going to lose at Lambeau. They have to get him out of that, because if the Super Bowl goes through Green Bay, we know who the NFC Super Bowl team is.
For sure. I mean, we've seen what they've done. Aaron Rodgers at home extends his NFL record streak, 360 consecutive passes at the house without an interception, 31 touchdown passes in a row since his last interception, which came almost 2 years ago. Yeah, actually,
2 years ago. December 2nd, 2012.
Yeah. Exactly.
2 years ago tomorrow.
That's it, man, and they have been lights out at home, and you saw that here again yesterday. Just a good game, and Tom Brady talked after the game. He didn't give the usual, well, it was a regular season game, and, hopefully blah, blah, blah. He said, this was a tough one. We tried to win this one. We knew we needed to go in here and win this game, and we're disappointed that we didn't. But Aaron Rodgers told everybody to relax, and sure enough, he's definitely showing them why here, but there's a couple of good teams there.
No, well, I think it was so big for Brady because he understood if New England found a way to win that game, he understood they would have had their number more than anything else mentally. because he's looking down the road, and he's saying if they get that win in Green Bay, and they do match up in the Super Bowl down the line, that would have given the Patriots a huge advantage, just in the psyche aspect of things, and I think that's why it was he took the loss so hard.
Absolutely. So we'll see, man. It would be, I'll tell you, of all the potential matchups, that would be one that would be a good one. But there's a few teams that are going to have a few things to say about that before we. Hey, wait, real quick. Speak one of those. How about Seattle and San Francisco the other day? It was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, don't sleep on Seattle.
Yeah,
they're back.
Man, defensively, exactly. They are more than just back. You're really seeing them start to get into that Super Bowl form defensively, and Seattle made a statement on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they've given up 6 points in 2 games, so yeah, it correlates with the return of Bobby Wagner and Cam Chancellor, who were out injured. And now that those 2 guys are back, they're ranked number 1 in football again in defense, and they're only going to get better heading down the stretch. So, to me, that's the most interesting about the NFC. There's 3 teams. There's Green Bay, Philadelphia, Seattle.
Philly,
and the fight for home field is going to mean everything, and Seattle goes to Philadelphia this week, so that's a huge game.
That's going to be very interesting to see that offense and that defense meet up with each other. And again, we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of this thing now, man. Last few weeks, teams jockeying for not only playoff position, but as we talked about with Tom Brady and a game like that, for perhaps future psychological advantages as well. Man, John, well, next week, I'm pretty sure that you and I will be discussing the NFL starting debut of one Johnny Football, I would anticipate. So pretty sure we're going to have an interesting conversation this time next week.
Yeah, Luck versus Manziel, so that'll be an interesting storyline.
Do you think they flex that to prime time if and when the Browns make the announcement of that, just so that the NFL can get Johnny Manziel's first start with all the eyes on it?
They'd love to do it, but it's too late. They can't do it this late.
Okay.
Yeah, they would. I mean, that's something they would obviously love. They know from the draft how many eyeballs are going to be watching when Johnny plays, but unfortunately for them, it's too late at this stage of the game.
I thought down to the last month, what is it, a week in advance they have to, or 2 weeks that they have to flex those games out?
Yeah, they just set up the flexes yesterday.
Gotcha.
I forgot. I know they moved Minnesota Detroit from 1 to 4:30, and that's like week 16 or 15. But Cleveland wasn't moved at any in the most recent flexing.
All right, final question for you, because I forgot to ask you this earlier. Do you think Ray Rice signs with anybody before this season's over?
No, I don't. I think it's one of those things. You can't prove collusion. It's very difficult to prove. And I don't even think Roger Goodell has to call anybody up. It's sort of a wink-wink thing. Every owner understands he doesn't want him playing this year in the NFL. Next year's a different story. Somebody will give him a chance. But this year, it's just not going to happen for him. It would have to be a Maverick-type owner in the Al Davis mold. And you just don't see a lot of those anymore. And then the second part is, people kind of forget, Ray Rice, it's not like Adrian Peterson, who's still at a top level. He had a very bad year last year, averaged, I think, 3.1 yards per rush. So he was seen as a descending player to begin with before he had any of the issues. So you have that on top of it, and the public relations hurdle. It's just no one's going to take a chance on him at this stage.
Yeah, I'm in the same place with you, my man. John McMullen from the Sports Network with us. I almost said John Manziel just because it's on the head, man. There you go. Join us every Monday here, and we'll be talking about, most likely, John Manziel next week and then some. John, thank you so much. A great holiday weekend to catch up here. By the way, how was your holiday? How was Thanksgiving? Good for you?
Oh, I'll work all the time. Football. More Christmas is my holiday these days. You don't get too much time to rest on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same here. I didn't even take any day. I took Thanksgiving is the only day that I didn't do a show last week. I said, you know what? I'll save all the goodwill for the end of the season or for the end of the year when I want to take a week off for Christmas or something. Then I can say, hey, remember all those holidays I didn't take off? I'm taking them all now at the end of the year. John.